Some houses don't creak when you walk through them. They don't groan in the wind. They don't announce themselves with obvious signs of decay. Some houses stay perfectly quiet, as if they're listening. At the end of a narrow, forgotten road, one that hadn't been repaved in decades, stood a house hidden behind twisted black oak trees. Their branches bent inward over the road, forming a canopy so thick that even moonlight struggled to pass through. People who drove by at night never slowed down, not because the house looked abandoned, but because it didn't. Lights were always on inside, curtains were always drawn. The house looked awake. Ellen lived there alone. She had moved in years ago, drawn by the low price and the promise of solitude. The realtor hadn't asked many questions, and Ellen hadn't offered many answers. She liked quiet places. Quiet felt safe. Silence gave her control. Over time, she developed a routine. On cold nights like this one, she sat in the living room near the fireplace with a book in her lap, letting the fire fight the chill that seeped through the old walls. Outside, the forest pressed in close, branches brushing against the windows like curious fingers. The sound used to bother her. Now it barely registered. Her eyes slowly grew heavy as the words on the page blurred together. The fire crackled softly. The clock on the wall ticked with steady patience. The house felt still. Too still. Then the sound came. Not footsteps, not a knock. A sharp, sudden ring cut through the silence. The phone. Ellen startled so violently that the book slipped from her hands and hit the floor. The sound echoed louder than it should have, as if the house wanted her to notice it. She stared at the phone on the small table beside her chair. No one ever called her anymore. Not friends, not family, not this late. Slowly, she stood and lifted the receiver, her fingers cold against the plastic. Hello? For a moment, there was nothing, just a faint, steady breathing sound. Then a man spoke. I'm going to kill you. The voice was low, calm, too close, as if he were standing just behind her. Ellen's heart slammed against her ribs. Who is this? She asked, forcing the words out. Silence. Who is this? She repeated louder now. Her hand trembled. Click. The line went dead. Ellen didn't hesitate. She dialed the police immediately, her fingers slipping on the buttons as adrenaline flooded her system. She explained everything in rushed fragments. The call, the threat, the voice. The operator told her to stay calm while the call was traced. Seconds passed. Each one felt heavier than the last. Finally, the officer spoke again. Mom, the call is coming from inside your house. Her stomach dropped. That doesn't make sense, Ellen said. I'm alone. He probably broke in, the officer replied. The word broke echoed in her mind as she scanned the dark corners of the room. Then the officer paused. And there's something else. Yes, Ellen whispered. I'm not actually a police officer. Her breath caught in her throat. You're not? No, the voice said calmly. I'm the man who called you earlier. I never hung up. But I heard a click, Ellen said. The man chuckled softly, then made the sound with his mouth. Like that? Fear crawled up Ellen's spine. So, you're really inside my house? She asked. Yes. Where? The man's breathing grew heavier. I like your hair. Ellen raised a hand to her head. You can see me? Yes. Her pulse pounded. What am I wearing? There was a pause. A blouse from Banana Republic and a skirt. and Taylor laughed. Her legs felt weak. That means you're really here. I can also see something else, the man said. What? Ellen whispered. There's someone behind you. Slowly, Ellen turned. Near the couch, hovering inches above the floor, was a translucent figure. A child, a little boy holding a faded kite. Oh my God, Ellen breathed. I knew this place was haunted. The boy smiled. Play with me, he whispered. The air grew cold. The man on the phone panicked, his voice cracking as he demanded to be put on speaker. Ellen complied, her hands shaking. We don't want to play with you, the man shouted. Just go away. The boy tilted his head. This is my house, he said softly. Why are you all here? Before anyone could answer, the doorbell rang. Ellen jumped. She walked to the door and opened it. A massive man stood there, clothes torn and stained, a machete hidden poorly behind his back. My car broke down, he said. Mind if I charge my phone? No, Ellen said, trying to close the door. He forced his way inside. I do. The room filled with tension. Killers revealed themselves. A ghost drifted closer. A house watched silently. The doorbell rang again. This time there was only a box on the porch. Inside was a clown doll. Its smile was wrong. Ellen pulled the string. The clown sang. The lights went out. Screams filled the darkness. Then silence. When the lights returned, Ellen was still standing. The others were shaken, broken, or gone. One by one, they fled. The ghost faded into the wall. The drifter walked into the night. The phone clicked. This time, no one was on the other end. The house fell quiet again, listening, waiting, ready to whisper once more. But the silence didn't feel empty. It felt crowded. Ellen stood in the center of the room, her breath shallow, her ears ringing from the sudden absence of sound. The fire had gone out. The clock on the wall had stopped ticking. Even the house itself seemed to be holding its breath. She waited for something to happen. Nothing did. Slowly, she lowered herself onto the couch, her legs weak beneath her. Her hands were trembling now, not from fear alone, but from the delayed realization that she was still alive. Alone again. Or so it seemed. The house did not return to the quiet she remembered. This silence was different, thicker, as if sound itself had been smothered and buried beneath the walls. Ellen noticed it first in the corners of the room. They seemed darker than before, not shadowed, occupied. She stood and turned in a slow circle, scanning the space. The furniture was where it had always been. The walls were the same. But something about the room felt rearranged, as if it had subtly shifted while the lights were out. She took a step toward the hallway. The floor creaked beneath her foot. The sound echoed far longer than it should have, stretching down the corridor, bending unnaturally until it no longer sounded like a footstep at all. It sounded like a whisper trying to imitate one. Ellen froze. "Hello?" she called out, her voice thin. The house answered with silence. She moved again, slower this time, each step deliberate. The hallway felt narrower than she remembered, the walls closer, pressing inward. Family photographs lined the walls, except she didn't remember hanging them. She stopped in front of one. It showed the house from the outside, at night, a single light glowing in the upstairs window. She leaned closer. There was a figure standing in that window, watching. Ellen stepped back, her heart pounding. "I don't live upstairs," she whispered. The light in the photograph flickered. Somewhere above her, a floorboard creaked. Ellen swallowed and forced herself forward. The staircase loomed at the end of the hallway, each step swallowed by shadow. She placed her hand on the banister. It was warm, as if someone else had touched it only moments before. She climbed. With every step, the air grew heavier. The smell changed too. Old dust, cold wood, something faintly metallic. The second floor hallway stretched longer than it should have, doors lining both sides. All of them closed, except one. At the very end, the door to her bedroom. She hadn't left it open. A soft sound drifted from inside. Not a voice. A breath. Ellen approached the doorway slowly, her pulse roaring in her ears. She stood just outside the threshold, staring into the darkness beyond. "Is someone there?" she asked. The breathing stopped. Then, from directly behind her, a whisper. "Don't turn around." Ellen's body locked in place. The voice was not threatening. It was familiar. Too familiar. It sounded like her own. "You wanted silence," the whisper continued. "You chose this house because no one would bother you, because no one would hear you." Her mouth went dry. "I just wanted to be alone," Ellen whispered. "You are," the voice replied. "Now." The door behind her creaked open wider. The room beyond was no longer her bedroom. The walls pulsed faintly, as if breathing. The bed was gone. The windows were gone. In their place stood the black oak trees, growing inward through the walls, their branches twisting together above a dark opening in the floor. A hole, endless. From within it came the same faint breathing she had heard on the phone earlier. The whisper returned. "We never left," it said. "We just learned how to stay quiet." Ellen took a step back. The hallway was gone. The stairs were gone. The house had folded in on itself, sealing her inside. The light above flickered once, then went out. In the darkness, the phone rang. Ellen didn't answer it. She already knew what it would say. Somewhere deep within the walls, the house listened, and it whispered back.